So hi guys, today we'll talk about the different equipments for environmental protection which is being used on board ship. So first one is ODMI or the oil discharge monitoring equipment. So ODMI is used to check and monitor oil being discharged following related to MARPOL 7378. The purpose of ODMI is to discharge as much as water as we can, but to not discharge water exceeding to the limit of MARPOL regulation. So, ODMI brings a balance between do not throw oil into the sea and reduce operational costs to the ship owners, but sometimes we forgot that the purpose of ODMI is to remove water from the slabs and not as much as oil as is allowed. So, oil water interface detector. So, oil water interface detector is an electrical instrument for detecting the boundary between oil and water in tanks. So, the equipment is not limited only to oil and water application but can also be used wherever an accurate interface control between two liquids is necessary. So, the interface detector has two main parts, which is the sensor or antenna and the display control system. So, interface detectors works by measuring the difference in voltages according to the conductivity of water. The interface is detected by a sensor attached to a weight which is lowered in the tank. It is basically a kind of conductive level sensor which help in pointing level detection of conductive liquids. They use a low voltage limited power source applied across different electrodes. A conductive liquid which contacts both longest and shortest probe completes a conductive circuit. So, OWS or oily water separator is a piece of equipment specific to the shipping or the marine industry. It is used to separate oil and water mixtures into their separate components. So, this discharge of waste water must comply with the requirements being laid out by the MARPOL 7378. So, modern OWS have alarms and automatic closure devices which are activated when the oil storage content of the waste water exceeds a certain limit, which is the 15 ppm per centimeter of oil on 1 meter of water. So, the primary purpose of shipboard oily water separator is to separate oil and other contaminants that could be harmful for the ocean. So, port facility reception. So, port facility reception is a kind of provision that any international shipping port must provide to collect the residues, oily mixtures, and garbage generated from a vessel ongoing. So, the arrangements must be such that the receiving operation can be performed as fast as possible to avoid undue delay of the ship. So, the merchant fleet in the shipping industry is generally divided into two main categories, which is the dry ships which carries dry cargo in bulk and wet ships which carries liquid cargo in bulk. So, both these types of ship generated oily mixture and garbage during their normal shipping and cargo carrying operation at ship at port. So, Ship Oil Pollution Emergency Plan or also known as SOPEP. So, SOPEP is to be seen as an information from the owners to the masters of the particular ship. So, SOPEP advises the master how to react in case of an oil spill to prevent or at least to mitigate the negative effects in the environment. So, it is compulsory for all ships with more than 400 gross tonnage or an oil tanker of more than 150 gross tonnage to carry a SOPEP on board. So, Ballast Water Management Convention. So, the Ballast Water Management Convention aims to protect the spread of harmful aquatic organisms from one region to another by establishing the standards and procedures for the management and control of the ship's ballast water and sediments. So, one of the advantages of the ballast water management plan is that with the help of proper ballast management plan and some additional information, operational delays can be avoided, which will help save time and money. So, when reporting for requirements of a different post-state authority is simplified. And the most important of all is that a safe ballast exchange can be carried out anywhere in the world. So, in this topic, it is all about the different types of documents and certificates on ships which is required by the annexes. So, one of the example of the certificates is the IOPP, which stands for the International Oil Prevention Certificate, which is required by the MARPOL Annex 1 under Regulation 6 for oil tankers with 150 gross tonnage and above, or the other ships which has the 400 gross tonnage and above. So, in this certificate, it also requires the 4 surveys, which is the initial, annual, intermediate, and renewal survey. So, in IOPP, there are 2 types of supplements, which is the Form A and Form B. So, Form A contains the records of construction equipments for ships other than oil tankers, and the Form B contains the record of construction and equipments for oil tankers. So, another example of the IOPP is the IOPP for NLS, or the noxious liquid substances being carried in bulk, which is required by the MARPOL Annex 2, which certifies that the ship complies with the requirements of the Annex 2 to MARPOL 7378 for the carriage of liquid noxious substances in bulk. So, the informations that should be shown in the certificate is the particulars of the ship, which is the name of the ship, distinctive number or letters, IMO numbers, port registry, gross tonnage, a table with the headings, noxious liquid substances, conditions of carriage, the tank numbers, and etc., and the pollution category, and the NLS certificate shall be at least written in English, French, or in Spanish. So, ISPP, or the International Sewage Pollution Prevention Certificate, which is required by the MARPOL Annex 4 regulations for the prevention of pollution by sewage from ships. So, it is required for ships that are engaged in international voyages with 400 gross tonnage and above, or less than 400 gross tonnage, which is certified to carry more than 15 persons. So, this certificate lasts not more than 5 years. So, the equipments that are covered by the certificates are the sewage treatment plant, communitor, holding tank, and the shore discharge pipeline and connection. So, the informations that should be shown in the certificate are ship details and the equipment details. So, this certificate certifies that the ship is equipped with a sewage treatment plant, communitor, holding tank, and a discharge pipeline in compliance with Regulations 9 and 10 of Annex 4 of MARPOL. So, IAPPC, or the International Air Pollution Prevention Certificate, is required by the Regulation 5 of Annex 6 MARPOL to keep the air clean. So, ships with 400 GT and above should carry this certificate. So, the emissions that are covered by the certificate are the ozone depleting substances, nitrogen oxide, SOx, or the sulfur oxides, and the particulates, and volatile organic compounds, or the VOCs, and the shipboard incineration. So, the information that should be seen on this certificate are the particulars of the ship, which is the name of the ship, distinctive numbers or letters, port of registry, gross tonnage, IMO number, and a statement that the survey shows that the equipment systems, fitting arrangements, and materials fully comply with the applicable requirements of MARPOL Annex 6. So, the supplements of the IEPP certificate must be attached to the certificate and contains section on number 1. So, the particulars of the ship. So, the other one is the control emission from ships, the ozone depleting substances under the regulation number 12. This includes the system list and the nitrogen oxides, which is under the regulation 13. So this includes a table of Marenv diesel engines with tiers of sulfur oxides or SOx and the particular matter under the regulation 14. So the other one is the volatile organic compound or the VOCs under regulation 15, and lastly the shipboard incineration under the regulation 16 with the equivalents under regulation number 4. So the EIAPP or the Engine International Air Pollution Prevention is a certificate issued for marine diesel engine. So the EIAPP certificate shall accompany the engine through its life and shall be available on board ship at all times. So it is required by the Technical Code on Control of Emissions from Nitrogen Oxides from Marine Diesel Engines made mandatory by Annex of MARPOL. So, the engines that are required by the EIAPP are the engines with marine diesel engine with a power output more than 100 kW or kilowatts installed on a ship. So, and another one is the marine diesel engine with a power output of more than 130 kW, which undergoes a major conversion on or after January 1, 2000, except when demonstrated to the satisfaction of the administration that such engine is an identical replacement to the engine which it is replacing. So, the EIAPP certifies that marine diesel engine has been surveyed for the per-certification in accordance with the requirements of the revised Technical Code on Control of Emission of Nitrogen Oxides. So, the EIAPP is valid as long as the life of the engine subjects to survey in accordance with Regulation 5 of MARPOL Annex 6 of the Convention. So the IEE or the International Energy Efficiency Certificate. So this certificate forms the second aspect of reducing air pollution, that is reducing fuel consumption. So it is required by the Regulation 5.4 of MARPOL Annex 6. So, the information contained on the certificate are the particulars of the ships and the dates of survey. So, it certifies that the ship has been surveyed in accordance with the Regulation 5.4 on MARPOL Annex 6 of the Convention, and that the survey shows that the ship complies with the applicable requirements in Regulation 2021 and Regulation number 22. So, the IEE must be attached with the supplements to the IEE certificate, a record of construction related to the energy efficiency. So, these are the information that are contained in the supplement. So, which is the particular of the ships, name of the ship, IMO number, date of building contract, gross tonnage, dead weight, type of ships, propulsion system, diesel propulsion, diesel electric propulsion, turbine propulsion, hybrid propulsion, propulsion system other than any of the above. So the Ship Energy Efficiency Management Plan. So in compliance with the regulation number 22. So the Ship Energy Efficiency Management Plan provides a practical approach for ship's operator and the ship management company to manage the operation and fleet efficiency performance over time using the Energy Efficiency Operational Indicator or the EEOI. so as a monitoring tool. So the ship energy efficiency management plan to improve the efficiency of the ship, it can be implemented in various ways, such as by optimizing the speed of the vessel, making a course change to tackle rough weather, hull cleaning in dry dock, installing heat recovery methods, etc. And all these methods help in increasing the ship efficiency and optimizing the ship operation. So the International Anti-Fouling Certificate is required by the International Convention of the Control of the Anti-Fouling Systems on Ship on 2001. So removing the organotin from the seas. So it is required by the International Convention of the Control of Anti-Fouling Systems on Ship 2001. The AFS, which means a coating, paint, surface treatment, or device that is used on a ship to control or prevent attachment of unwanted organisms. So, the anti-fouling paints are used to coat the bottoms of the ship to prevent sea life such as algae and mollusks attaching themselves in the hull. So, thereby slowing down the ship and increasing the fuel consumption. So, the ships that are required to carry the certificates are the ships with 400 gross tonnage or above, ships less than 400 gross tonnage but 24 meters or more in length must carry a declaration and appropriate documentation such as a paint receipt or the contractor's invoice. So, the certificate certifies that the ship has been surveyed in accordance with the Regulation Number 1 of Annex 4 to the International Convention of the Control of Anti-Fouling Systems on Ships. So, this survey shows that the anti-fouling system on the ship complies with the applicable requirements of Annex 1 to the Convention. So, the information that should be shown on the certificate are the particulars of the ship, name of the ship, distinctive number or letters, port of registry, gross tonnage, and the IMO number. So, and lastly, the GMP or the Garbage Management Plan. So, the Garbage Management Plan is a complete guideline which comprises of a written procedure for collecting, processing, and disposing of garbage generated on board ships, as per regulations of the provided in MARPOL Annex 5. So, it is mandatory for all ships above 100 gross tonnage and ships certified to carry 15 persons or more, and it is written in the working language of the crew guidelines developed by the organizations. So, an approved garbage management plan must consist of the following. So, which is the ship details, overview of Annex 5 of MARPOL, the list of equipments for handling garbage on ships, placards to be posted for disposal criteria, the possible local recycling arrangements, the written procedures for collecting garbage, the garbage segregation description to avoid intermixing of garbage, which includes the identification of suitable receptacle for collection and separation. So, the garbage processing methods available in the ship, and the garbage methods and garbage stations. So, another one is the garbage disposal methods and the entry to be made on garbage record book. So, another one is the emergency and accidental discharge criteria and the needs of the reception facilities. So, another one is the identify the available operating and maintenance procedure of collecting equipment on board. So, and lastly, describe the training or education programs to facilitate the processing of garbage.